We're going to go straight to Washington, D.C., where Laura Meckler is standing by. And Laura, tell us about President Obama's plan to get the mojo back in the housing market.
Well, it's to really help homeowners who currently have mortgages that perhaps are where they're underwater. They owe more on their houses than their houses are worth, and they can't refinance. People who aren't in that situation would refinance, take advantage of the historically low interest rates. But they can't do that because they don't have enough equity in their home. So what this would do is say that they could refinance through the Federal Housing Administration. They would go through that system and get a lower interest rate. That's the basic idea.
Okay, that's the theory behind it, and according to your story that you wrote with Nick Timmerhouse, it says that it would help some homeowners save $3,000 a year by tapping into these lower interest rates, and that would, for many families, that would be a great thing for them to get. One of the problems that's going to be raised with this is that this is yet more government involvement in the housing market, and it was, after all, government involvement that got us partly into the mess that we're in.
There's a big philosophical divide over whether the government is doing too much or whether the government is not doing enough, and there are very strong cases made on both sides of the fence. The Obama administration has tried a variety of efforts to get at this problem. None of them have really made much of a dent in the problem. The programs have had difficult, it's been hard to qualify, or hurdles you have to jump over, or hoops you have to jump through. All these things that not enough people have gotten in. They don't seem to worry about the government being too involved. That is the concern of some Republicans. For them, the problem is that their efforts at getting involved haven't worked very well. So this is another try at that. However, another problem with this plan is it needs congressional approval, and no one's really betting that that's going to happen anytime soon.
Ah, that congressional approval where everything grinds to a halt except the hot air machines, which continue at full blast. One of the reasons given for the bailout of the banks back during the financial crisis was that if they weren't bailed out, they wouldn't be able to lend. Shouldn't the banks be pressured to lend, maybe, and then actually do what they basically were told they should do?
Right. Well, that's one of the problems, is that the banks have become very skittish about making loans, and they've tightened up credit, saying that that's what they've learned from the last bubble, is that they lent too much. Of course, that doesn't help you very much, and especially if you're somebody who, and this is who this program is targeted at, the people who the president would say are playing by the rules. If you've been paying your mortgage every month and you've got a 7% interest rate, and your house is worth $250,000 now because of the spiraling decline in home values, but you owe $300,000, you're sort of out of luck right now. So that's who this is meant to help. They are asking the banks to help pay for this, because this program would cost the government some money. Some people will end up defaulting, and that would be on the government's books. So they're asking banks to pay, large financial institutions to pay a small fee. That fee has been proposed for this will be the third year that the Obama administration has put that forward. It hasn't gone anywhere in Congress either. So there is some thinking along the lines of what you just asked.
So what's the reaction been from the Republicans on the Hill?
Well, House Speaker John Boehner said, again, we're going to try this again. We've tried this before and it hasn't worked. He thinks that the market needs to stabilize, and that this is getting in the way of, quote, clearing the market, which I think is another way of saying letting prices hit bottom. Obviously, other people, mostly Democrats, think that that's pretty harsh. There are a few Republicans on the Hill who say that there are aspects of this program that they like, but nobody has come out and endorsed the whole thing full-fledged. And frankly, even programs and ideas that have had sort of even wider support haven't moved anywhere in Congress. So I'm not holding my breath on that.
Not holding your breath on Congress. Fancy that.
No.
Laura Meckler of the Wall Street Journal. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much for being with us.